right. The Thursday, September 7th, 2017. I'll start that again. Okay. The Thursday, September 7th, 2017 Parks and Recreation Commission meeting is called to order. And the first thing we'll do is the Pledge of Allegiance. Vice Chair Murphy, would you like to start us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Gilbert.
Here.
Commissioner Jacobson.
Here.
Commissioner Ittner.
Here.
Chair Firestone.
Here.
Vice Chair Murphy.
Here.
And Commissioner Dutter is absent.
Okay. Public comment. We have Councilman Haney.
Hello, are we on? Okay, so, good evening. We had met, I think it was 6 months ago. Someone has to talk to me about Soul Park, and we were gonna do some investigation as to, what to do with it and what's going on with it. And so I, put together a list, Councilman Wyrick and I have been talking about this, and we see right now is the golden opportunity. So I just want to give you some thoughts on what we see, and maybe we can address it, and you guys create another committee, and we can tackle it. So I'll give you these suggestions, and then when I'm done, I'll hand it over to Allison, and she can make a copy, or maybe we can get a copy to each of you when we're done. But right now, we know that Soul Park, the golf course itself, is under new management. It's got a 20-year lease. Right now, they are in the process of investigating 3 new wells that either run parallel or run opposite to the existing aquifer. So they believe that they have a new source of water. So along with that source of water, they'd like to obviously see their own facility use it. They'd like to see Soul Park have the opportunity to use it and take the 3rd well and actually move it back within the city limits and use it either at Sarasota or use it at other facilities within the community. So that's the talks that are going on right now behind the scenes. I just thought I'd give you guys a quick address of that. So with that in mind, when I met 4 years ago, was it 5 years ago, Sage, we had talked again to the county about this, and they actually had given me their budget regarding that facility, and obviously they were in a negative in the operation of it, with the majority of that negative coming from their water bill. So there's an opportunity here for this community to actually tap in and have a community member work with us in creating an enhanced environment and reducing the amount of money that it's going to take to operate it. So I just wanted to plant that seed. That's why I'm saying there's an opportunity here. And if it pencils out the way I envision it, and Councilman Wyrick, there's some good things that are going to come from it. So having said that, what I wanted to bring up was some things that we want to do. When we're thinking of this facility, I want us to think about all that can take place, not just what is, but think about how we can create if we can get a 20-year, 30-year, 50-year lease on that facility. Think of all the things that we could do to enhance our programming from Sarasota. So that's one thought. I just want to plant that. Don't think about what we have, and don't think about what they have in the existing. Think about what that existing could be. So for instance, we need girls softball diamonds, or we need more softball diamonds. There's 2 diamonds there existing. We could light those diamonds. We could recover that cost by charging fees, holding tournaments. There's a multitude of ways of recovering these costs. So again, that's one of the things I want you to think about when we put this together. Again, don't think about what is there, think about what could be there. Same thing goes for the picnic facilities. You know, we want to get rid of the $5 entry fee, and we want to open this facility up to more users. they have incredible picnic areas there. So why don't we tap into that? And why don't we tap into how we can market that and actually, let me take a step back real quick. When you all think of doing something in this community, do you think of Soul Park? I just mean that. You don't. You know, and here's a gem within our community that is just like the forgotten gem. So again, I want to shine a light on that is an incredible facility that offers a tremendous amount of opportunity for our community to be able to tap into. So picnic areas, baseball diamonds, soccer fields, frisbee golf. They have an equestrian center. We could create equestrian classes. We could program the heck out of that facility. So we need to, so again, I'm running all over my list here, but I just want to share, again, think about what it can be, not what it is. It reminds, yes, sir.
One of the things, there was a program on, and I forget which show it was, it might have been CBS this morning, about sports destination cities with tournaments like you're having, softball tournaments, soccer tournaments, how their whole economy is based on drawing people to this center. Right. Where you can, it's an incredible income opportunity for the city if we choose to go in that direction, or something we could maybe grow into.
I wouldn't disagree with that. I'd put that up there on the board and talk about it and figure out, what it would entail. And again, when I think of this facility, I'm thinking of community first and outside second. Mm-hmm. But I do understand the mechanisms of what it costs to run something, and if we're going to enhance our own Recreation and Parks Department, that, again, creating some revenue stream would be a benefit for that. So, again, I'd be 100%, for something of that nature. They have tennis courts there. They have paddle. Light 'em. My sister I'm 63, my sister's 65, and she's a world-class paddle ball champion. World-class, she wins tournaments all the time. She's a 4 or a 5 rated player. She's constantly traveling to these things. So it's, again, we got one in our backyard. We got one at junior high. It's again, just another untapped resource that we could program to. And again, light them, recover the lights, charge a fee for after hours. There's just too many ways that this could pan out for us, okay? Define the number of playing fields, which we added to the Rec and Parks program for soccer, for women and girls softball, and on and on. But, again, explore what would needed to ramp up the horse arena. I actually, again, a couple years ago, took a couple people that I know that ride over there, and they loved it. They wouldn't use it because it's not maintained. But they said if someone maintained it, if someone scarified the sand infield there once a week, and they had something that was loose that horses could run in, rather than something hard that horses slide on, she said that they'd be using that in a heartbeat. So again, there's another program for us. Explore a possibility of marketing other special events, such as car shows, or picnic, group picnic areas and things of that nature. Convert from an entry fee basis to a fee basis. If you're gonna use the facility, charge for that use. If it's girls softball, you'll have a fee built into that. If it's soccer, you'll have those cost recoveries built into it, all right? How about the fact that they have a dog park? You could put a coin operated, put 50 cents in and take your dog in. But they have a dog park. The best one I've seen is the city of Calabasas, and what they did is they took half the facility, made it turf, and the other half they made it mulch. And you ask yourself, now why would they do that? In the summertime or in the good weather times here, they're letting the turf or letting the dogs have the whole facility. Come wintertime, when it's heavy rain and you don't want that activity, they close it off and the dogs can go run on the mulch. They thought it through. It generates revenue for them. It's off of Malibu Creek Road. It's just incredible. Paddleball Dog Park. Define all areas of excess demand. So again, that's what you need to put together a group for. You need to get the recreation folks together with a couple people from this commission and actually go at this. And, because we talked about it, and we met, and what came of that meeting? Nothing. I'm just saying, nothing. And now, I'm sure we've all thought about it, but the reality is, nothing's driving it. There's an opportunity now to drive it. Let's drive it. Here's another thought. Consider annexing remaining pockets of land around that park so that we even have more parkland. That's a pretty far-fetched idea, but still, it's an idea. There's nothing unturned. One more thing regarding parks in general. So I'm done on my Soul Park ramp. Libby Park has a master plan that sooner or later someone's going to have to look at and actually say, what do we want to do with the rest of that facility? And again, we need to address that. I don't think we need a new master plan, but I think what we could do is we might be able to define different scopes of work. You know, when I think of, or different scopes of what that park could bring us. I was with someone the other day and they were talking about, what's that thing where you have a line and you grab onto it and you...
Zip line.
Yeah. Have you guys been to the backside of that facility? Have any of you gone through the wash and climbed up to the top on the other side? I'm just saying, put a zip line there. You might have some activity going on. But I don't want to go there because personally I don't I don't like the liability of zip lines. But all right, so that's all I have. Soul Park. Okay, if you want this list, I'll leave it with you. I'll leave it up to you to agendize this. I'll look forward to it, and I'll come back and join the discussion. Okay, thank
Great.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe it's on our list for future agenda items.
Any other public comment? Okay. Presentations, we have Gray Duncan. Gary?
Welcome.
Hello all. I was asked to come and introduce myself and introduce the program that I've been working with for the past year. I've been at, my name is Gray Duncan, by the way. I meant to introduce. I've been working at the high school with the teenagers for many years. I started there in '92. And all the way back to the very beginning, I can recall adults saying, is there a place where I can go to learn to make pottery? And there wasn't an answer for that at that point for a long, long time. And now when I'm asked, I am joyfully get to say, yes, there is. Come on over to see us, go to the rec department, sign up for the class, and we'll be able to do that. And I really can't tell you how I underestimated the joy that this has given me. I didn't know I was going to have so much fun teaching the adults. I'm so used to teaching the teenagers, and they ask interesting questions. The adults ask pointed questions that lead us to places that are pretty interesting. So we started out the first term with partially filled classes. There were only 2, I believe. And now we're up to 4 classes each term, and usually pretty well filled. And we're really having a good time. The adults seem to be returning, which is a good sign. And I can offer them a whole array of techniques and things to play around with the clay, because I've been at it since I was in high school. I got hooked, and it's powerful stuff. So I've been doing it ever since then, and I've been a professional potter, going out to galleries and shows and doing all that on the circuit, and put that aside, and this opportunity came my way, and I finally had the time and energy, and I said, sure, I'll do it. So I'm glad to be working with the rec department. So if anybody has any questions about the program, I'd be happy to answer it.
And 2 of us have taken it
It's wonderful.
in the class.
2 of
I'm
my
taking
best
it again.
students right here.
It's
So much fun.
And I really do appreciate the varied levels. There are people at all different places in their pottery learning.
Yeah.
Because from that no experience at all to people who are looking to really refine what they're doing, and the class adapts itself to whoever is in there, and
Yeah.
it's lovely.
Yeah, it's really
And
great.
it works well when there are experienced potters in there with the beginners because they're watching you guys and picking up ideas. So it all works out. It's great.
It's a great experience. I hope we can find other ways in the high school of similar things if there's a possibility to, use the same model, because I think it's really a nice partnership
Yeah.
of using
Well,
those facilities.
there is interest, as a matter of fact. Kate Thomas is teaching the art classes, and she just does a great job.
She's wonderful.
Yeah, the kids love her.
Yeah.
And she's been kind of asking questions about what I'm doing over there in the evening, and I've
And we
been
have
telling her
talked
how much
about
fun
this.
we're having.
We've talked about this in meetings, so I'm hoping we'll
Yeah.
be able to make something happen, because I just think I think it's a great way also to showcase what you're doing.
It certainly
Because every
is.
adult who comes in there has a new appreciation for what the high school is providing.
Yeah.
And the same thing would happen for the art classes, for, community members being able to come in. I think we all can support each other when everybody understands what everybody's doing, and it's
Yeah.
a really nice energy between the two things, so.
Fantastic. Ojai has a really strong art community, as you know, and there are a lot of people out there that want to jump in and learn right from the beginning. Some have had experience, but we're all enjoying it.
It's great. Thank you so much for doing it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Gray.
Thanks, Gray. Okay, police report. Doesn't look like we have anyone.
You can go whenever you want to.
Public Works
Good to see
report.
you. See you next week.
Uh,
I do have a Public Works update, if that's where we got to.
Yeah.
Sorry. So very exciting. I have one Public Works update. The long-awaited courtyard shade is up. They installed it yesterday. I do have a picture. So I'll just pass that around to you guys. You guys should come by and see it. It's really
I'm a little
cool.
sad.
We're a little disappointed that it
Yeah.
didn't happen during the summer. It was out of our hands.
I understand.
But it's done. We're really excited, and there are a lot of classes that will benefit it during the year,
Nice.
benefit from it, and then obviously summer it will get very well
Summer's not
utilized.
over, so.
Yeah,
Yes, true.
just started.
That's all I got.
Thank you. Oh, that's really nice. That's
Thank
going to
you.
be great.
All that for $500,000? Wow.
So meeting minutes, I don't think
Pending.
pending. Okay. So we'll look
Now
at
that
those.
summer is over, we should be able to get back to those.
Great. Okay. So we are going to have one of our commissioner reports for the Youth Commission because Commissioner Gilbert needs to leave a little bit early tonight.
Yes. Okay, so this last month we had our first ping pong youth tournament, which ended up being really fun. We had a few boys come and a few younger girls, and it was a good turnout for the first time. And I learned also that there was a football game that night, so sort of bad scheduling. But we got pizza. We probably stayed in the game room for about an hour.
Yeah, maybe 30 minutes or
Yeah.
two. Yeah.
And then we did the tournament, and I think the people who worked with us were really great. They were fun, they were energetic, and I think they really brought out like the best in the players, because I am not the best ping pong player, but I had a lot of fun playing with them because they were very spirited, and I think it was a huge success, and I think we should do it again,
Yeah.
and hopefully we can draw more people in since the first ones went so well.
Yeah, definitely. We had some great staff. It was the very end of our summer, so like we had some of our summer camp staff that just stayed and worked the event, which they're a lot of fun. And actually, one of the staff has approached me saying she knows a lot of like high schoolers in the valley, and she said that like she would love to staff the event in the future. So we're talking.
nice.
She suggested potentially doing weekly. I don't know that we can schedule that facility wise, but definitely like a monthly type thing, just to have like an open ping pong
That's great.
night.
Yeah.
So yeah, gonna work on getting that going. It was a lot of fun, and great job to Maya for the concept and getting the word out and everything. It was a really fun event.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Good work. Anything else on the Youth Commission? Have you guys met recently?
Not yet. We've both been very busy. She has the end
We'll
of the
touch
summer.
base.
Summer
Yeah.
lull. Yeah.
I'll schedule another one very soon.
Okay. Great. And what's on the agenda for the fall?
Probably working on the hashtag adulting
Yeah.
seminars that we want to do, and hopefully more ping pong tournaments or other events that we can gather the youth and maybe start not sponsoring, but oh my gosh, what's the word? Just showing off the adulting classes so we can get more
Yeah.
kids to come.
Yeah, definitely.
Great. Any help you need from the commission?
I think just getting teachers to come and
Or community members to
yes,
do
to
the.
come show everyone what we need to do, taxes. As anyone who's willing to help out and volunteer their time would be really great.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So we're looking for community members with expertise in adulting.
Yes.
Yes. It's a
and
good way of putting
what
it.
might be neat to do is, once you have a list together of the themes, is go to Rotary.
Yeah, so I'm going to reach out to Rotary. I coordinated with some people from Inspire, and we have a list of workshops that we want to offer, and we have people assigned to teach a couple of them, and then I'm going to reach out to a
You
couple
guys-
of those
that's very
organizations, yeah. So
I-
now it's just a matter of getting them scheduled.
And I can also try and go around to Nordhoff teachers and see if any of them are
cool.
interested
Yeah.
in teaching.
Awesome.
Great. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks for the update. Thanks
Very
for all your
exciting.
work. Okay, so with that, we can, we'll do the rest of our commissioner reports where they are in the agenda. But for now, we've got the discussion items. The first one being the Libby Bowl seating proposals. And Councilmember Haney and Amber.
And my number one assistant,
All right.
Amber. So you all have pictures, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's the completed one, I think it's in here. This is just kind of a bigger picture of it, gives you just a better view of it. All right, so one of the things that we have some cost analysis based on the original concept.
Thank you.
Years and years ago, when Libby was originally.
Years and years ago.
And then for me, so we're all talking the same stuff. So your first photo is this one here, and this is what is there. Okay. And right now, there's probably from what we went by when we shot this, and we all met there, in fact, there I am, that little guy in the, way in the back there. Look at that. That was me. What, 8 months ago, 10 pounds lighter. Okay, but in front of me, you see that monument?
Mm-hmm.
So to treat that monument as something that is a great, that's what we chose, that's what we looked at, okay? So we're looking at filling in this whole area to the top of that monument, and then raking it from that point towards the front. So the front obviously is 0 right now, and we're looking at building up that about 2 feet. Okay, so we build this up 2 feet, and we build this up 2 feet. You can see that we're still maintaining the same grade, or rake is what we call it, but it's the same fall. So if someone was sitting on the wall, it'd impact this first layer of people here. But we'd obviously tell people not to sit on the wall. But the second thing is, as you can see, this grass is gonna right up to the top here. So you're gonna still go back, let's say every 5 feet, you'll have some type of blankets or chairs or however people choose to use that area. Obviously, it's undesignated, but that just goes to show, that just shows you that we've kept the same space. All we've done is elevate it so that from this point to the line of sight into Libby Bowl, you actually can now see what's going on in the stage.
So the retaining walls,
Yeah.
how, 2 feet?
So,
Excuse me, is there an algorithm that shows you for every basic blanket depth, there's so much of a grade so that people are,
there
you
would
clear
be, I
them?
couldn't tell you what that is, because we didn't shoot it that way. What we did is we came back from this point here,
Right.
from that marquee, which is your third one here. So we came back from this point here, we strung a line, and we took that line, and then we took it to the railing of the back railing of the last seats. And then that helped us to see, okay, how high can we raise that wall without impacting, too severely anyone sitting behind those people. So you still have to have fall, you still have to have a grade. It's not gonna be level, otherwise all you're doing is defeating the purpose of what you're trying to achieve.
Right.
Okay? So, so the concept here is, a CMU wall, which is cinder block base, probably 4 inch or 6 inch, veneered in some type of a culture stone, sorry, veneered with some type of a culture stone, and then capped, so it's finished. Then you can see that we've taken the same thought process and we wrapped the oak back here to protect it. And that's actually a 50-foot radius, a 25-foot radius from the center of the trunk out. So, you know, what you have a tendency to do is think only in 10 feet. That's generally what people say, don't exchange, you know, don't change the elevations of anything around an oak tree, you know, out 10 feet. We carried it out 25 feet. And the other thing that does, it also limits the impact if you're putting in a CMU wall and you're putting in a concrete footing. You're trying to limit the impact that you're gonna have on roots 2 inches or larger around that oak. So that's important to keep in mind too, all right? So this wall here will emulate this wall. And as you see, it starts at the very top. There'll be a cap and maybe 6 inches of wall showing. And then you can follow the wall down to the end and you can see how much is showing. And that just helps you to understand what the elevation exchange is. The same with the staircase. So we took the set of steps on this side so that there's a nice easy path to come down and out. And then if you notice, as we wrap this around the other side, what we'll do is we'll take this point of the lawn and actually taper it towards the sidewalk. So that.
No edge, just.
Right, so there's no edge, because you don't want a 2-foot, you don't want people having to step over all this stuff.
And does that give it ADA accessibility?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
In fact, you have ADA accessibility. You can see from part of the concrete that you can see in the drinking fountain, all the way to the main gate.
Okay.
It's all accessible to wheelchairs. So we haven't impacted anyone or anything that way.
I like this a lot.
So do I. So the other thing that we did is you notice that the two cables coming, these are the cables that actually support the tie down to the post that support the canopy. So we left them intact. We just did a little plant pocket around each one of them. And also that plant pocket keeps people from walking into them and allows the maintenance staff access to tighten the turnbuckles or to do whatever type of maintenance they need to do on them.
So you just extended a little.
Pardon
You
me?
just made it a little larger than it is now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. We kept the sycamore, obviously, we kept the oak, we kept as much of what is there. Okay?
Can you tell me, maybe, what the space between the retaining wall around the oak tree and the sycamore is approximately?
The oak tree, and are we talking this one here?
Yeah, but between the retaining wall and the sycamore, about how wide do you think that opening is?
Oh, between here and here?
Yeah.
Oh, it's got to be at least 25, 30 feet.
Okay.
It's fairly wide. And you know, it does, if you look at back behind here, right there in that space, that's where the food trucks are parking right now.
Right.
So we kept that part of the facility it's existing, because that's obviously something everyone uses and uses it quite a bit now. So again, we didn't really change a whole lot other than what we're doing to the front end. And
you lose a little bit behind the oak tree that we've used for other things before.
if you go to this photo here, this one will actually, really the last one, this photo here will actually show you what the inside of the wall looks like down at the bottom. Okay, so the whole inside of the wall is going to be this height, but you'll see it as it grades towards that center post. You can see it starts here, and then it tapers its way around. And then there was no reason to bring these steps all the way up here, so we cut down the cost of the project by doing it about halfway. So we're only talking probably six-inch rises, so maybe 3 feet at the most.
It's a funny question, but do you even need it to go that far?
No, and that's what's nice about it, is if we get this project up and running, actually, when you start the layout and you start the grading is when you'll actually shoot those transitions. And you'll say, do we only need 4, do we need 5, do we need 6?
I asked that only because even the front of the tree, people were sitting there,
Yes. and people
under the
will sit
tree
there.
historically, so.
And it probably wouldn't hurt us to actually do this. We've got the light baluster here, and we've got another light baluster here. It probably wouldn't hurt to actually put some seat wall lights in this space, and it wouldn't hurt to actually put some in here and maybe even illuminate this oak if we really wanted to.
That would be
I mean,
dramatic
It
looking.
is, it's stunning, it's just a
Yeah.
beautiful oak.
And we're expecting to increase capacity by how many people theoretically?
I don't know, a couple hundred?
Yes.
Yeah.
It will
I'm
ultimately,
sorry, what was it?
What do we have? I think we have 900 and some seats
it'll
right now.
ultimately decrease capacity because you're losing some of the seating that we have now, but the seating will become viable in that you can actually see.
Right.
Whereas now, sorry, go ahead, Amber, if you want to. Right now, you can sit there, but you can't see certain parts of the act or.
So let's take a look at some numbers, old numbers and then some projected numbers, okay? And then we'll talk numbers a third way. So you can, if you start here, you'll go to the total price line, and you're gonna see existing grass, kill, and pulverize. That's an interesting word, pulverize.
Can I just stop for a second? I thought going back to this original point of this whole thing was to increase capacity so we could get more high-level acts to come to the bowl.
That would be one purpose.
Right. But if we're actually decreasing capacity,
Actually, you can go either or on the increase, decrease, but if you use the word enhance, the value of the facility, utilizing that grass in a better way than we are right now, is a win for no matter what. So, right now, I think at maximum, we're projecting that area to accommodate 300 people. And right now, our seating is 900, how many? 773. 900 fixed. So you're looking at we're looking at 300 additional seats to a degree, that's what we've
And
always
restoring
pushed.
them to what they were in the old bowl. Because in the old bowl, you could see, because there were not the railings and the rise, the lawn historically has been seating where you could view the whole act and everything that was going on. So it's restoring it to what it was in the previous project.
Absolutely.
Right, but originally, when we originally talked about this with yourself, I think, and Councilman Wyrick, it was to get above a certain threshold, so then Sterling could bring in, or whoever could bring in the next level of acts, correct?
I think that was one goal.
I'm not really sure if we ever talked about a next level of acts. I'll be honest with you, I think the acts that we're getting from Sterling are what we're gonna get. And again, that's an education. I used to think the same way, why can't we get Cosby, Stills, Nash and Young coming from LA, going to Santa Barbara to drop in and do an acoustic thing for us? The reality is, they're not gonna stop at Ojai in between there and there. And a lot of the second level or the first levels, it's the same thing. They're not gonna come play for 900 or 1,200 or right now 700. They're just not gonna do it. We can't afford to pay them to come in. And we don't wanna raise the seats or the ticket price, so, to a number that no one's gonna wanna use it. So right now, I think we're hitting our sweet spot. And we're getting exposure and we're getting marketing. So this is our first year, and obviously, we're gonna come back and do a presentation to council on the Libby Bowl Committee and actually tell the community where we are and what we've achieved or what successes we have gained through the Sterling venture right now, and then talk about where we're gonna go the next year and the year after, So, if we're saying 1,200 people capacity, that's 300 more than what we have seating. If it was 150 more or 200 more, that's what I'm saying. I don't think we ever looked at it as increasing it to that level, so.
It did come up at a meeting
Mhm.
previously that I forget who, but someone explained to us that
Yeah.
there was some
It did.
threshold.
Well, I don't think it was me.
Okay.
And I don't think it was a singular goal. This originated really the origination of this project, from my perspective historically, was that when the new bowl got finished, the lawn was no longer what the lawn had been.
Right.
And for those who love the lawn, you couldn't see anymore.
Right.
There are railing. You can see, but you can also see the railing. And so the longest, most historical perspective on when the lawn, what started this conversation was bringing it back to what it was. I absolutely agree that it was brought up that it would increase capacity at one of our presentations, but I don't think that was a singular goal. That was that was an added benefit to it, but I think
I also don't think anyone has actually laid this out with a set of chairs and said we could fit 400 chairs
Right.
in
Well-
there. We're looking at it as a blanket
Right.
and each chair, more of a casual environment. So But the biggest driver of it is the fact there's a lot of people in the community that used to go there that don't go there because they solely went to be on the grass. That was part of that entertainment that they went to.
To Commissioner Murphy's question earlier about the slope and what Commissioner Entner just said, it sounds like the lawn as it is now, that's how it was prior to the renovation?
Yes,
Yeah, except for the pieces going in to tie down the,
right.
Okay, so that's some confirmation that the existing slope, which you're going to maintain, just raise it up, was sufficient
Right.
to see you.
We
You weren't
might
going to just be
raise it a
staring at
little
someone's
more.
head.
Obviously, if we can raise it more, there'll be a better line of sight for the people in the back.
Right.
But again, part of the entertainment value of the lawn is just hearing the music and having a nice area where you're in a picnic environment versus, a rigid seat environment.
and also balancing that with some of our most successful concerts that we've had attendance-wise are benefits. So from my perspective, I don't want to impact the way that they use that lawn in the back and the flat areas.
Right.
It needs to be very flexible. So that's why I am so much more in favor of this than staggered seating or any kind of walls or multiple retaining walls, because we've had, I think some of our best ticket sales have been Channel Islands doing their fundraiser, or what are some of the other ones? We've had 2 or 3 that are really successful every year, and they use that space very differently than Sterling, they would use it for a regular concert. And so that's important from my perspective to maintain that, because I think that's a great, from my perspective, market for the Libby Bowl to be in, doing really wonderful fundraising events that are highly successful and raising money for those charities, so.
I was wondering if you guys had reached out to like the other organizations that use it. Like, I know, for example, like the main time I go there for events is like Easter in the park. And like Sadra's saying, they use the lawn very differently. Like, have you reached out to any of those like organizations that use it other than just for concerts to like get feedback on it, or are we not there yet?
Well, watch. That's why we've turned this over to the Rec and Parks Commission, because that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna reach out to the community, and you're gonna actually put together some focus groups or things of that nature and say, what do you see? I do know this much, if you really look at Libby Park, that's the only patch of grass. It's
Wait,
technically-
Turf Hill?
Yeah.
Very
It's
popular patch.
technically, usable, year-round. You do have the turf next to the front of the play area, and you do have the bump. But aside from that, that's probably the nicest piece of turf that we're gonna have in that entire park. Okay, Amber, you wanna chime in?
I think it's pretty well been covered. I think as the I'd love to be of assistance with surveying, especially for the Libby Bowl users, as I'm the primary point of contact with the city with them. So whatever you guys are looking for from me, I'm more than happy to help out with. And I think that it's a really wise thing to do, to survey the users and survey the community and figure out exactly how to best make the lawn work, because it is a really versatile space as it is in its current state. And so how to make it more usable for viewing what's happening on the stage while still maintaining as much of that flexibility as possible, I think will be really important going forward. But that'll be for the community and the users to decide, and for you guys to work with Councilmember Haney on. I had another point.
That's right, as it comes back to you.
Okay.
She's been hanging around with me too much, she's forgetful now. Something else too is, it's interesting as you do, is the concerts that I've attended. There are some points where that grass area actually has a negative impact on the concert, because they got their own little party going on back there. So sometimes I said to myself, well, how do you snap your fingers or blow a whistle and say, they're on stage? But again, that's what's interesting about the users, is because in that environment, guess what? The people that are on stage don't care about the people on the grass. They're all doing their own thing. So it's interesting how it's all used, and how the different groups utilize it differently and uniquely. Okay, so I just wanted to go over some numbers just so that, because we're talking CIP money. And 2 years ago, when we started this process, I think it was 2 years ago, we did, as a council, set aside, we were gonna set aside money, $200,000 to do this project, and then we just said, let's just roll it over into our CIP package, and we'll figure out where to come up with that money together. So again, whether it's Rec and Parks, CIP, council projects, or Greg figures out I don't want money to be the issue that we can't do it. Again, I come from the thought process of, our accountant, I had to put it in his terms. He told me years ago, stop thinking about how you can't buy a house and start thinking about how you can. And so that should be the process on this, is stop thinking about how you can't build this and start thinking about how you can. And there's a multitude of community support to do it. There's a multitude of funding within our city structure. We have it there if we have the will to go do it. And that's why we're turning it over to you. Let you guys be the voice, let you be the driver behind it, and let you help us create a priority for it, and then we'll all push to get it done. So,
Just one further question, I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you. How long of a period from beginning to end would it be to accomplish
it's
this?
probably about a 3-month
3 month?
at the most.
That being said, it's, for the usability of the bowl, I would recommend that the commission not be shooting for this before summer of 2019, as 2018's already been booked, and the schedule's already been kind of worked on, and so people are already in the middle of their plans, and a lot of them have the capacity for the lawn and how they're going to use it already in mind, so.
That's good to know. See, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's what she forgot.
That
So-
is what I forgot. I'm bringing that up.
But so again, there's a right time to do it, and then there's obviously a wrong time to do it. And to me, the right time is gonna be sometime right after spring, when there is good moisture in the soil, and it just makes demolition, and it just takes a lot of things, it makes it easier to do things. Wait till the middle of summer, or wait till fall, and you got other issues coming into it.
The fall would be ideal.
The fall would be.
So, no, I'm just talking
think
from a
about right now, we
scheduling
are
from-
booked through almost November now.
Well, so winter would be ideal,
September and October are becoming our biggest months.
busy. But after that, then there's a kind of a,
November festival coming down the pipe.
well, so it's all busy all the
And no one
time.
wants to open up large pieces of dirt in December or January,
No.
February.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Trust me,
So
I
do
know
it in
that.
peak summer in the heat.
I know that. Okay, let's talk some money here. So the old number was, get rid of the grass, $5,200. Import the soil, $19,000. Cast in place retaining wall. So cast in place means it's a concrete wall, not a CMU with veneering, it's just a concrete wall. Stairs and sidewalks at $6,100. Interior block wall, which was gonna be that wall for the oak, at 19. A handrail, and again, the handrail to me is semi-optional. If we can keep the interior wall under 32 inches, you don't need our handrail.
The handrail would be where, on the stairs?
On the oak wall,
Oh, all the way around?
yeah.
Okay.
You can keep that under 32 inches from the inside grade up, you don't need a rail.
But if you put a handrail up, that's gonna decrease visibility at the same time. right?
Well, remember, that handrail is on the peripheral, it's on the oak side, it's
Oh,
not.
just on the side.
Just on the side, it's not in the line of sight technically
Gotcha.
of the users. And I'm considering the users as far as sitting and activity being middle of tree trunk forward. It's not to say people won't be using the backside of it, which they do, but visibility is gonna start at that midpoint and forward, okay? $4,000 for the handrail, $16,000 for electrical, which, again, I don't have a sense of why that budget's that large, but I don't know what they based their comps on. I saw the design, but it was a long time ago. Landscape and irrigation at 25,000, and then your final cleanup and your indirect costs. So what we would be proposing to do, and we can, again, think about this a couple different ways, joint ventures. So maybe we come up with some funding and we look at other groups of people in the community that might want to fund or volunteer. Pretty much what we did at the skate park.
Do you have dirt already?
And we do have the dirt.
You do have dirt.
We do have the dirt. So that's, again, 19,000 taken off the budget there, or 23 today. I'd probably keep the number for all the walls and the steps. The interior wall, I don't know if it's gonna be $25,000. I don't think we'd have to have the handrail. I know the electrical budget from what I have a sense of, it might be a third of that.
Yeah, I could see existing right here, trenching with CIC is, there's no reason why it would be
Right.
16.
Seems, because they're not putting in that much lighting, are you?
No. And again, what you want to do is you want to do low voltage LED. You don't want to do any high voltage stuff. So the most you'd need is a 110 outlet somewhere, which we probably have, and the ability to put a lockbox around a transformer.
I can see a handhole here on this side.
Yep. So when I look at the cost here from 166,000 to 207, I actually think that we could build this anywhere between 150 and 100. And again, if we look at how things have been done in the community in the past, for instance, my company provided the skate park 2 weeks of grading for free. The Hilgers did a ton of work at the skate park for free. The park at the entry, the park and ride,
Rotary Park?
Rotary Park, they built that all through Rotary without any funding from the city. And every Tom, Dick, and Harry that could place a rock was on that wall. So we could probably look at gathering every Tom, Dick, and Mason in town and saying, let's donate, 20 feet, 30 feet of wall or something. I'm just saying, again, I want to think out of the box on this. This is, after what we achieved with the Libby build, the play area build, I just think that we can do anything in this community. So again, my thought is, let's not look at what it's going to cost, because I don't think that's what's in the way. I think what's in the way is the drive to get it done, and the understanding of the community of, is this what you want? Is this what you like? And are you willing to support us in it? I think that's why myself personally, I brought it back to you, because I think this is the best place to sell it. All right.
So are you hoping that we're forming a committee, or?
I am hoping that you're going to put this on the agenda.
Okay.
See if we can get some people here to get some input. Maybe do the same thing. Maybe hold a meeting or do something over at the park and actually walk the facility and talk it. I'd be more than willing to show up and help out on that. I'm sure Mr. Grant, and I'm sure Amber would. We'd all be willing partners to move this along and to offer any type of expertise that we can.
I think that's a great idea. I'd love to walk the facility and have it kind of explained.
Well, when you're standing
Detailed.
there and you're looking down, you can actually see
Right.
what you're trying to achieve versus, I mean, only because I did these drawings, these are just incredible drawings, but actually, my logo is on it, but there's a woman in town, her name is Diane Squire, and she works with me, and this is what she does. I paid for it, but she does these renderings, and she's just an incredible artist. We all met, we talked the concept, her and I met, and I handed her a piece of paper, and this is what I got. So she's an incredible individual. And again, donates her time to this community also.
I think from my perspective, just looking in the bigger picture, because it has to fit in, from a CIP perspective, it's been placed on the CIP for 17-18, on the city CIP. It hasn't been placed on the Parks and Recreation Committee CIP for that year.
Great.
I just want to throw that out there. As far as priorities go, we have prioritized the sports court. So, so money does come into play for priorities, because, we're saying, we'll find money and it'll happen. My only concern is I don't want it to supersede some of the things that we, as a commission, have strongly prioritized, which is moving forward on some stuff at Sarasota Park, I
would agree with that. If I was sitting in your chair, I would agree with that. This commission has worked hard on the CIP, and I know that. And so I would not say, here, take this and put it at the top, because that's not real to me. Like I said, I'm looking at other ways to fund this. I'm looking at other ways to get this done. And I want to get it done right, but I want to get it done quickly, and I want to get it done timely, and I want it done professionally.
So from my perspective, one of the things I'd like to see it move forward on the CIP, which realistically we now know we have to do anyway for planning purposes.
Right.
For bookings. It can't be 18-19.
Right.
Because we're already booked most of the way through. So I would be interested in forming the committee, but with an understanding of it's being positioned beyond, and the expectation from our commission that we're still working on our own priorities. Does that, I don't know how others feel about that, but that's, because I think the sport courts were really clear that that's, and the other thing for me is just as far as prioritization, we've done the Libby Playground. I would like to move back to Sarzodi just and work on what we're getting out of that master plan anyway and what we want to do, so.
Well, and you're doing a presentation on the master plan at,
Joint meeting.
on the 27th, which is actually good. You'll actually have the opportunity to really explain it. And hopefully, Mayor Johnson and Councilwoman Francina have actually met and walked and looked at the facility, because it is a great plan. So that's what I'm hoping. Any other questions?
Quick question. The groups that are booked through 18 that have already expressed, how they're going to be using the grass, have we shown them this at all? Okay.
That's why when I suggested that a wide survey of both the
Yeah.
Libby Bowl users, as far as like the producers that use it to make events happen, as well as the attendees, would probably be a pretty good idea.
Definitely. They'd probably be the best place to start.
Right, and it makes sense to start at least 2 years out,
Right.
realistically, to get the timing ready for the bowl and to get the timing ready for the funding and have all the work done. Yeah.
Okay, so if you don't have any more questions on this, I have just one more quick thing I want to throw in here. The whole idea behind the Libby Bowl play structure initially was to get shade cover for the existing play area in the facility. And I keep getting comments from the public about the fact that the Tiny Tot swing area is full sun, and that the seats are incredibly hot. And I know that there is supposed to be some type of a short shade cover, but we might want to revisit that again in your CIP and talk about what additional shading you could do there now that you have that erected. Now that the community is in it and using it, now's the time to make the modifications that any quality facility would be doing, okay? All right, listen, I'd like to thank you guys for your time. I look forward to our joint session. It should be coming up soon.
Yeah, next month.
And again, we value, I know I value what you guys do. And I'm hoping that we can talk about our enhancing our liaisons to, if they're supposed to be here, they should be here. There's a lot of questions that you guys might have that we're here to facilitate, and I'm sure Mr. Johnson has a reason for not being here, but I just think it's just part of what we do and what we're responsible for, so. All right, the drawings you can put back, or if you want to take them home. If you would like to take a couple and post them on the facility at Sarasota. And you guys all have the numbers?
Yeah.
Okay. Guys,
Thank you very much.
Thanks for putting this together, Randy. Okay, anything else on that topic before we move on? Okay, so then the next agenda item is reviewing the presentation for the joint.
Sorry, can I ask one more thing?
Yeah.
Is that something we need as a discussion item? Are we discussing whether we want to put on an agenda to form a committee?
Yes, it sounds
Okay,
like.
so as a future agenda item, it's to,
In the meantime, are we just putting our feelers out to get community input?
Yeah.
Okay.
so the future agenda item is to form committee to redo the Libby Bowl lawn?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that would be the working group that would work for a couple of years and would work on getting the community outreach and pulling together the resources. Okay.
We're going to make you sign a contract that you have to stay all, the whole time.
Oh, boy. Okay. So then 8B, joint meeting between City Council and Recreation Commission. Allison has put together a draft slide deck, which she emailed, and we also have a print copy of.
Also up on your screen. So.
And it's on the screen, and this is a starting point. So the idea was that, we'd all take a look at this and provide input, and then we'd go and come up with a final version for the meeting next month.
Yep.
And also, while we're going through it, we can also plan who's going to present what.
And do you want me to go through, or did you want to go through
Could I make
it?
a suggestion?
Yeah.
That we go through the whole presentation.
And then go back.
Everybody
That's what I was
take
going
notes
to
on,
recommend.
yeah, and not get bogged down on talking about every.
Yeah.
Great.
So we'll go through it once, and then we
Thank you.
can go back and make edits. That way, you see what's there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So then I'll walk us through it. So, coming up on October 10th, that's not on your calendar, put on your calendar. So just an agenda up front. So we broke it, Commissioner Firestone had me break it into 3 sections. Update on like parks and projects, update on recreation programs, and then the discussion items. Okay, so if you notice typos, please feel free to let me know. Sarasota master plan. So by the time we get to this, they'll have already voted on it and all that, but this is a accomplishment for you guys for the year, so just a couple pictures of that. Picnic area remodel. Highlights. Sarasota parking lots. So we do have 3 are in the works. 1 is complete, 2 are still working on being done. So obviously if they get done between now and then, I'll update that. But as of right now, we have 1 complete, the north parking lot. Lower Libby restrooms. Oh, did I pass it? Yeah. Complete. If I'm going too fast, let me know. I don't know if you guys got the chance to read through this already, but skate park lights, done in early May, coin operated, which are fantastic, by the way. I just went and collected the money today, and a lot of quarters come out of that thing. And then just a list of our ongoing or future items that you guys are working on or starting to work on for Libby restrooms, Libby bowl seating, bike park, and multi-sport court. Give them an idea of what's going up.
I would like to rejigger the, notes, sorry.
Notes, yes. And then program updates. So 4th annual open house, just some pictures. A couple of our commissioners highlighted there. Aquatics, just highlighting to them, to the council, that we did run 2 pools for the first time this year, and that overall went really well and was a really positive change. Summer camp, some general numbers, average 52 participants, some pretty significant revenue for that program. Our movie nights, as you guys know, big hit. 1 Friday a month, average 48 participants. And then a list of our new programs. So this is coming into the fall, a lot of, pretty much since your joint meeting last year, this is all the new things that we as a department could think of that we are now offering. The newest and maybe biggest one is the theater classes that we'll get into later. After school program, started fall of 2016, some basic information on that. Youth committee, highlight of what Maya and the committee has put together and is offering. And this table is some participation numbers that I put together. So Ryan and I kind of went back and forth on this, so we'll see what your guys' feedback is. So the 2 charts are pretty different. So the top chart is activity registration. So that's when someone comes in and they register for our gymnastics program or flag football or an art class. It's both adult and youth. It's them registering for some kind of activity. And that's starting in 2004. Every year, just a yearly number, going all the way. The biggest spike that you can see we've been slowly increasing, and then in 16, 17, we had that big jump for after-school program. So the thing that makes after-school program a little bit different and is a little bit strange is most of that registration is on a daily basis. So that's why it was such a big jump, is because the kids are enrolled every day, so that's a lot of individual registrations, if that makes sense.
So we need to communicate that.
Exactly. And then the bottom chart is our drop-in participants, which actually these numbers came from a recommendation from this commission, asking us to track those numbers. So we started that July of 2014. So this is on a quarterly basis. So you can see July through September 14, October through December. So this isn't, we don't have enough time in it to give yearly numbers really. So it's on a quarterly, but it's kind of cool because you can see the ebb and flow of the different seasons and how our numbers go down in certain seasons and up in others. But you can also see that this year overall, we are up from last year. So we can talk about that, but we'll keep going forward. Revenue update. So this one, the blue line is our revenue. So that's always a fun one to be able to see that significant increase this year. The red line is our expense, and the green line is our expense over revenue. So that's essentially what we didn't recoup in our revenue that came in. So you can see that we had a really good year in 2015 with our recouping our cost. Last year was a little bit tougher. That was, as you guys know, minimum wage increases, all that kind of stuff. And then this year we are back down. So our revenue went up, our expense also went up, but our expense didn't go up at the same rate as our revenue. And then we did have currently, or last fiscal year, we were at a 65% cost recovery rate, which is great for our department. And then going into our discussion items. So these are the 5 items that you guys highlighted and/or Ryan and I came up with. Can all be edited and moved around as needed. CIP, I just put that chart. This one's a little bit outdated. It's one that we got from Greg. I can see about getting an updated one if this is something that you guys decide to keep in there.
I also just to be, this is the city one. It's not the
Yes.
Parks and Rec one.
It is, thank you. Yes, I'll change it if you guys.
I don't know if you want to change it, but we should discuss that.
Yes. And then use of Chaparral site. Ryan's idea was to just maybe come up with a list of just out there, come up with a list of ideas to just put here as a kind of a discussion topic for you guys. Partnership with OUSD, similar, just a list of ideas. These were 3 that just came to the top of my head that I threw up there for you guys. Valley-wide Parks District, just talking about it. And then the last one is CPR first aid. So that is the motion that you guys made and the numbers for that motion passing. So that is the end. We made it. Oh, see, now I made it mad. That's okay. So I don't know who wants to start, what kind of feedback you guys have. Open to any and all of it. So I know Sage has
Want to
something.
do the same way?
Okay, all right. So starting at the top. Is everybody okay with how it was broken down, the 3 sections? We're all comfortable with that? Sarasota master plan. I don't know if you guys wanted any info in there. Maybe if the council ends up passing it, I could put that date, that it was approved by council, a certain date, if it ends up happening.
The only thing that might be interesting is to put a list of upcoming proposed CIP projects and when they're timed that are off the Sarasota master plan. To bring to their attention what we're looking to do and when we're looking to do it.
Do you want to do that in the CIP section, or do you want to do that here?
I'd like to do it here because I think it's relevant to the plan.
Okay.
I would
So
agree.
these are the steps forward.
Especially,
Okay.
like I said, especially if it's approved. If it's not approved,
Yeah.
in a
I
few
say leave it
weeks.
in there anyway.
I think we leave it in there, but what I was getting at though is if it's not approved, we should decide, and maybe that's just, we have another meeting right before.
The 27th.
No,
Oh, you mean,
before
got
October
it.
10th.
Yes, to read.
So we could decide then,
rejigger
but
if we need to, yes.
at that point, if it hasn't been approved, we should decide who's gonna talk about it.
Okay.
And really drill it home.
Yeah, but so I just think another slide, and it's a quick
Yeah.
slide that goes
Yeah.
upcoming CIP projects and what they are.
Absolutely, yeah, I like it. Okay.
And I would love to have our picnic remodel basically as the first Sarasota master plan project.
Okay, yeah.
Because it really is
Yeah, yeah.
completed, because it was redesigned through that process, so.
Yeah. Makes sense. Okay, and then picnic area remodel. So there's already parking lots.
I actually think for me, you could basically, if you could, you could almost combine parking lots and restrooms.
Okay, 2 smaller projects.
Yeah, I don't know that either of them need, from my perspective, a full page.
Okay.
The On the picnic area remodel, if you could switch
Yeah,
the,
the final.
the final and the work in progress
That's a good idea.
slides, or pictures, so that we see the final.
The pretty
Okay.
picture first.
Yeah. And then, yeah, it's an interesting, in progress picture afterwards.
What's
And
going
actually, you
timeline
know what?
wise?
That's right.
What you could do is do one picture, one big picture,
Maybe do like,
the
yeah.
title, and then
yeah.
a smaller of the construction and the other two that you have on that other page.
I can do that.
It always takes longer than we think, that's why.
Yeah. Okay. And then is everybody else comfortable with combining parking lots and restrooms, just doing one side for those?
Yeah.
Well, in essence, they're just going to be two different slides, right? On the presentation, if we're looking up there.
So she,
I'm confused as to what we're talking about, wouldn't
so
it?
she's talking about taking, so if you're, like, if you look on here, the parking lot and the Libby restrooms and making it just one slide and having all that information on one slide.
I think
So just like splitting a slide in half.
I don't understand what the benefit of that is, really.
Just faster.
I don't
I-
think,
That's.
I could take the words out.
Is
So you
this
don't
the
actually have to
point-
read
is the
anything.
point we're trying to show them exactly what can be
We're
accomplished.
highlighting what you guys accomplished in the last year.
So
Yeah.
maybe we should pause on something like that, give it a little more detail.
I don't know, the lower Libby restrooms, have been quite the battle, so we might want to,
I want to acknowledge it, but not talk
Yeah.
about it anymore.
yeah.
well, so,
As time
I mean, I could,
don't want to talk
I
about
could,
it
I could
anymore.
take out all the words and just leave photos, so that way you
I
can
don't
just
feel
address
strongly
it
about this,
quickly.
whatever the group thinks.
I would leave the words,
yeah,
but I don't
the-
care how many
I like
slides
it
there are.
exactly like it is.
I like it how it is.
Results
Again,
oriented here? We need
Yeah.
to-
the reminder is, we only have an hour
Right.
for this meeting, so
Move forward.
this, we have a lot of pictures in here, and the council members are going to have this presentation to review, so we're going to go pretty
We'll just move
quickly
quickly.
over
Okay.
this.
Yeah. Good.
It's just kind of a reminder that we did this stuff.
Okay, skate park lights. All good. And then ongoing topics. I don't know if you guys had anything to add. That was just what Ryan and I came up with in the moment.
So on the Libby Bowl, I think it should be Libby Bowl lawn.
Lawn, yeah,
That's the part
The
that
Bowl
we're,
lawn. Okay,
that makes sense.
thank you.
And I would just move the multi-sport courts up and the lawn down,
Okay,
if we're just looking at order. Or you could even move the sport courts up to the top,
Well,
and then the bike cart, and then both of the Libby projects at the bottom.
why not put over on the right-hand side just projected timeline, projected years for when those things are going to come up?
I don't know that we have.
yeah, I
one.
don't know that we have them that concretely.
It doesn't have to be concrete, it's just like it's a projection.
so,
Because they're on the CIP for certain years, correct?
Well, it depends on which CIP you're referring to, but yes.
Well, and you're talking about moving the Libby Bowl lawn and, yeah, it's up to you guys. can
Yeah,
do that.
I would prefer to put the sport courts at the top,
so that'd be number one.
and the bike
Sport
park,
courts,
Bike
bike park,
2.
and then Libby restrooms.
restrooms 3, lawn 4.
Yeah, sounds good. And then as far as the putting in the CIP timing information, people want that, don't want that? I don't. I go either way.
I think there's two different CIPs we're talking about, and I don't think all the timing is the same.
Right.
So which
And you're
one are
gonna
you
have it on the master plan slide,
Right, so this is just like a,
what's
Oh, yeah.
coming.
yeah, that's a good point.
As I look through, the first part that we had is parks update.
Well, since we're adding that master plan slide, we could almost eliminate this, because that master plan slide is gonna have it's already gonna have all these on it. No?
No,
Because the master plan is for Sarasota.
yeah, and this is.
Oh, you're right, I'm sorry,
My-
thank you.
But
My-
that's okay, but
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
you're right,
wondering
thank
if
you,
if it isn't parks up, I'm almost thinking we do master plan as its own titled slide, and then, completed parks projects is another section. Because they're a little bit different.
The master plan is what you completed, I think was just the, was my logic behind it.
No, I
Yeah.
totally get it, but I'm just thinking from organizationally, from my perspective, we bring the master plan out and make it, present the master plan and then the project that's been completed out of the master plan.
Well,
And then
again,
the others are other completed projects, which is the Libby restrooms and the skate park lights.
Well, again, I think if they approve it in a couple weeks, we should leave it with the bathrooms and everything else, because
Okay.
it's done, we did it, finally. But if they don't, I think then it might be something that gets its own.
And we should know
and
that
then
by
we-
next meeting.
Then we bring it out and say, okay, we're gonna rehash this.
Okay. Works for me.
So leave it as it is what you're suggesting?
I think for now, yeah.
Okay.
Then we
And
can
then
always
if-
come back to
See
it.
what happens.
Right, then we can decide at that
Okay.
point.
All right.
All right, so then we're moving on to program updates.
So sorry, on the ongoing topics, are we
Okay.
putting in either ours or the city's CIP information?
I'd
or
say
not?
neither, but.
Anyone else
No.
have an opinion?
Okay.
I'm just,
Okay,
my
thanks.
only thought was, it doesn't even have to be within the CIP, it's just what our topics are. Our projection as a commission is, we'd like to see these maybe done by this year, this is this year, this is this year. I mean, if we're gonna put them in numerical order, thinking, I just think that.
And are we discussing these, or are we just glazing over, like, hey, this is what we're talking
We'd
about?
be
Or we're-
glazing.
I actually
I-
think putting the numbers on there makes it hard not to talk about it.
That's where I'm going with it. I
Okay.
think
Yeah.
I think if we start
Putting any
putting dates
information.
and numbers,
It's
That
gonna,
makes
there may be a
sense.
lot of
because
questions.
I'm gonna want to talk about them
Yeah,
too.
no, exactly.
That's my thing.
That makes
Okay.
I'm
sense.
gonna
to
want
me.
to jump into the bike park and
That's-
all of the above,
I cannot argue logic, that makes perfect sense.
So we're okay leaving
But if we're
it?
glazing, then let's just,
No, I'm
let's
glad
keep
glazing.
glazing.
Change the order.
Okay.
Yeah, the intent was just because we don't have liaisons here most of the time, give the council a heads up about stuff that
This
we
is what we're
are
talking about.
Okay.
discussing.
Yeah, and then, no, go ahead, sorry.
Well, now, since it was brought up earlier in this meeting, should we add partnering with Soul Park?
That was exactly what I
Yeah,
was thinking.
all right.
And then the other thing is, if we're really talking about ongoing topics, the district, a parks district is an ongoing topic.
Right.
Yeah.
And wasn't that,
It's
It's
mentioned in the back,
But
yeah.
maybe
Back,
we
yeah.
could we could
Yeah.
put it there
well, we could
instead.
still throw
Yeah,
it
that's
on
just
there.
one, that's just one I overlooked.
And then
That's
take
good.
it out of this
Yeah.
separate slide in the back.
Yeah.
I think that's great.
Well, no, it's a discussion item.
Well, it's a
Back-
discussion, the ones in the back are discussion items.
Yeah.
We can still put it on there as a
Yeah,
preview of what's to come.
Yeah, Parks District.
Yeah, I think it should be both places.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's because it's just, we're putting
Agreed.
everything on there that we might want to be talking about,
Right.
good.
Or that we continually talk about.
continually talking about, yes.
Where do you want it though?
We won't put the signage on there.
Where do you want it in the order of,
Yeah.
order of events here?
I think that's fine at the
Five.
bottom.
Okay.
5 and 6.
I'm sorry, so 6 was school district partnership? Or,
You've got Sewell,
Soul.
Soul,
Soul
Park
Park.
and the
is
Valleywide
5.
Park
Valleywide
District.
Parks District.
Oh, we're naming those as two
Yeah.
different things?
Yeah.
So
Got it, okay, thank you. And I had the- and I had the-
I wonder though I mean, my thinking was that, I think it's a minor point, but it seems like we're kind of, this section was very clear
Okay, so that's
as
where-
to like
okay.
what the contents are. I don't know a better place for these things, and they're on our radar, so it makes sense to have them somewhere.
Maybe you just pull this page and we put it back where discussion items is.
I don't think so. I mean, I really as it is, we have we're not going to get through all the discussion items.
Well, but I'm wondering if maybe we don't need this here
Oh, I see.
at all.
Mhm.
Maybe we're talking about what we've accomplished, we've looked at the master plan, and then we go into programs. Because what is the point of putting this here?
But then shouldn't some of these be discussion items then?
Well, we're discussing the CIP, and a couple of these are CIP projects. So they kind of fit in back there.
They could.
So
I go back to the same thing though. I think she's onto something because I do think it's tough to glaze over that list now.
Yeah.
That's a big list to glaze.
I'm just saying, all they are ongoing topics. This is what we're continuing to talk about.
Yeah.
So these are ongoing topics.
I think we can get through all of it quickly. And
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's just going to be, I mean,
We get to control.
typically,
the-
yeah, typically the
Well,
chair's
it's a-
running it, so it'd be like, this is.
Bam, we're done.
Parking lot, Lower Libby's, master plan, this is what we go.
Hold your applause till the end.
It's about where do they make the most sense to be popped in.
Yeah.
And I'm just not sure the logic of putting, we've done what we're doing year in review here,
Mm-hmm.
and we're looking at what we've done,
right?
And then we pop into what we're going to do.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
what-
no,
then
no.
we
You
pop
throw
back
it in,
into programming.
maybe you put it in after the program
That's what I was
updates.
gonna say. What it really is looking forward.
That's better.
So
I
where-
totally agree.
Where we've been, where we are, and
This is
where
where
we're
we are
going.
with parks, this is where we are with programs, this is
Exactly.
what we're continuing to talk about, bam, bam, bam.
That's why I think
and
you push it
flows.
back. Yeah.
I think you're
I mean,
right.
I could change the title even to like looking forward or future.
Well, ongoing, I think, is important because
Okay.
we do have a history with, I
It's
mean,
already started.
Some of these
Yeah.
are
Okay.
started.
been
So,
wild.
but I'll move it to after program updates. Does that make sense?
Sure.
I think so.
And then we'll look at it there and we might change our
Yeah,
minds.
next month you can change your mind. That's fine.
I like the aquatics, looks good.
Okay, cool. All right, so open house, aquatics, summer camps.
Night out is
On
good.
summer camps, I guess it's good to put the revenue in, but I'm just not sure. It's not in context compared to anything, so I'm not sure of its value, but that's just me. If you wanted to say it's one of our largest.
I don't know, the revenue gives you a little,
Successful.
That was my idea, my
Yeah.
thought behind it is it's one of our largest revenue programs and it's cool for them to see that.
So
I like it.
Okay, I was just thinking, you could almost just say it's one of our largest revenue programs without numbers, and it would still.
But I can tell you, a hand's gonna go up and say, well, how much does that bring in, since it's one of your largest?
If you
So why
put
not
in-
answer
And they
up
know the
front?
total, so for them to know
Well,
that in the
answer it
context of the
upfront.
total is,
If after the word revenue, you put in parentheses the percentage, I think it's about 25% of the revenue.
okay.
That, I think,
That would do the same thing.
There, thank you. It
That's good.
needs to be relevant to something.
it's all on one
That's-
slide.
yeah.
You don't have to flip
That's a good
forward,
idea.
Yeah,
you know.
thank you.
Cool.
I like that better.
Perfect, and you.
I like
yeah.
it.
So do the math. I was just
Clean.
Yeah.
eyeballing it,
Don't put
but-
25% in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the percentage is very helpful.
Yeah, I can do that. Okay.
Movie night looks good.
Yep.
In case anyone is wondering, the third from the last, gym core, that is essentially parkour, but parkour is apparently like a brand or like a official thing. So it's free running gym core is what they call it at the rec department. So that's a new class that we're offering. In case you were wondering what gym core is.
Can I ask what the picture of the bricks is?
That is a photo from our photography class, from our
Okay.
adult photography class.
Maybe we want to just note that.
Okay, I could do
I'm
that.
just
And then
curious.
the bottom one is jewelry making. Yeah, those are kind of
jewelry.
hard to tell. I could put little captions on them.
Yeah, I just think it's a
thought
lovely
they were
picture. I
gummy
just
bears.
didn't. I was trying to figure out
Yeah,
where
I
in
thought
our
it was
district
Legos
where
or
it was.
something. I was
and-
like,
and-
the Legos camp's not on here.
So question under new programs, we have some that say adult cooking and adult photography. Pottery is both?
It is, yes.
Okay, so all the others are both?
No. I can.
So pottery, youth and adult, yoga.
So
adult
I think the
yoga.
reason that I differentiated adult was for the cooking and photography is because we had youth cooking and photography before, but we added the adult.
I think that's a good idea though. The pottery is adult and youth pottery,
Yeah,
and then is adult yoga is what you're talking about, right?
adult yoga,
Okay.
dance is youth.
Youth dance camps.
Do you want me to put either youth or adult under or by each
I
one?
actually think it's a good idea.
I do, I think the more questions you can eliminate, the
Okay.
better, because that would be, I mean, if it's a question for one of us, it's gonna be a question for one of them, more than likely.
And I really like that we're highlighting that we're expanding our adult
Yeah.
programs.
I think
Because that's something we
important,
really
too.
wanted to
Yeah.
focus on and we're
Right.
showing the success.
We're,
Right.
we're running out of kids in the valley, so it's
Would-
gonna be adult programs pretty soon.
Okay,
For-
is
You're not wrong.
is volleyball one word or two?
One,
One, I think.
It's one word.
unless it's trademark. No, we-
Okay, screwed up, okay.
Right, we're trying to save money.
Would it, for the ones that are adult, maybe putting it in parentheses afterwards or something?
What if you did two, like you created more hierarchy?
Yeah,
Like adult,
Of
and then
adult.
put underneath there, and then youth.
A lot of them are both, though.
Yeah, I just think putting it in parentheses
Okay.
would be cleaner, easier.
Are most of them both? Okay.
So
so pottery, for example, would be adult
it's so that
slash
it's
youth.
both
That's-
adult,
that's-
youth, adult, youth,
I
and
think the only double one is pottery, right?
yeah.
Yeah. I actually, for my own preference, like a little more hierarchy in my
Yeah.
visual, so
So-
that if you could do two lists,
Separate.
So you get
adult
new
programs,
programs,
and
adult,
then youth programs,
youth,
and
and
you'd list
both.
pottery twice, but everything else would be unique.
Okay.
I like that. Does that work for people?
Yeah, I'm indifferent.
That works.
Works for me.
So am I.
I can do that.
Easier, better.
All right.
After-school program. Youth committee is a lot of words.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was
I can take
looking at
out
that
some
one
of
earlier.
them.
I think, I mean, if we could just kind of like bullet, like,
Pull it apart more and more, make more bullets,
Yeah, I can do
yeah.
that.
because then people will read it.
Yeah.
The after-school program provided quite a big boost or jump to revenues.
Yeah.
Do we want to put that in as well? Not like, not in so many words, but do we want to highlight or talk about it at all? Like where we put, we talk
Do
about how
similar
much
to
the
summer
summer
camp?
camp. Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, maybe something like that. I mean, it was a good addition.
Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
not
I could
just for
talk
the
about-
valley and the schools, but
Yeah.
for,
I
the
mean, I
revenue
think it was over
Parks and Rec.
90,000.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a fairly significant amount
Yeah, it is.
for a brand-new program
So-
too.
Was it this year too that this went valley-wide? Or
It
that- did it
was
start
last year. It was summer of
Okay, I
last
couldn't
year, I
remember.
believe.
But was it after our meeting though?
No, I'm pretty sure it started in the summer of last year was the first one that went
So we
out.
had our meeting.
But
in
we
the
should
summer.
highlight it again anyway, I think, because it's created
I
a
think we put it
lot
in the
more.
It's a big jump in
Yes.
revenue and
It was in the
signups, like,
presentation
Very
last year.
effective.
Yeah, it was in the presentation last year.
Was it? Okay.
But
We could do it again.
I don't disagree with doing it again.
What
Hey,
we could
more
do
time you can
is
pat yourself on the back for.
on the revenue slide, you could put a little like arrow where we started mailing.
I
out
like that. Yeah, the increase, I like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
For the after-school program, I really like the part where you talk about how much it costs in there per day and, I think that's really helpful. As far as the paragraph, I think you could shorten that and then just put which schools it's at to highlight that part of it more.
Okay.
Sorry. I think we should keep the partnership portion though with OUSD in there because we were talking
Yeah.
about partnerships later on too.
So you could put just the
Highlight.
first bullet, partnership with OUSD, and then two more bullets, Topa
Yeah.
Topa.
Just
Topa Miners
break
and
it
Ice.
up.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you wanted to put in a revenue bullet, it could just be the same format as the one from the summer camp.
Yeah, the amount of revenue and the
Just say
percentage.
the dollar amount. and the
Percentage, or-
percent.
I think the percentage is excellent,
Yeah.
'cause that way.
Yeah, I like percentages.
Because the dollars distract you, and you don't know what the reference is.
Do you want me to just put it in the percentage or?
I think the percentage is more helpful than the money.
Yeah, I like the percentage actually better.
Okay. Sold. And then,
I do love putting the ping pong in there, though. The
Yeah.
brochure is lovely.
The brochure is fantastic.
Another great flyer.
I love the flyer.
Megan is so great.
That's a
She
lot
makes
of
the
people.
best flyers. She's made so many fun ones.
The guy's face is incredible.
Okay, are we on to participation numbers?
Okay, thank you.
So on the youth committee, we're just gonna
Part.
minimize the words.
Yeah, I'll break it down a little bit.
You also could start with new in the title of youth committee, only because we haven't done this before.
Yeah.
And that would really bring it to their attention, so they would know that it's
Yeah.
new.
This is for the new youth of
The new- yeah.
Youth are always new.
Maybe you could reword that somehow and figure out how to do it.
That makes
but-
sense. Yeah, we want to indicate that this is new.
And I honestly would love to credit Maya in
I was
that
gonna say.
directly.
Whoever is presenting, Ryan, yeah, I would definitely
And the
make it a
bullet
big
points and-
point
yeah.
that Maya kind of,
Well, I think we
Came up
talked
with
about
it.
Maya actually presenting this slide, didn't we?
yeah. But I mean,
Okay.
somebody here should talk about it.
She
I mean,
needs to be.
Well,
I can
typically, too,
name her in the
youth-
slide.
Yeah, name her in the slide, I think.
And a
Yeah.
lot of times the youth commissioner just kind of
Yeah, no,
is
she's
there.
like
I
a
mean,
huge hand
she's been, it's
in
been incredible.
Yeah.
getting it moving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was her idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Participation numbers.
I don't, the activity registrations, the way we're looking at it, I'm not sure how useful it is.
Yeah.
That's
know
that
that
was the
it's-
feedback. Yeah.
The, if I could, so,
Yeah.
the concerns I had first with the activity registrations is that it's kind of mixing, like Allison indicated, two different things. We've got, like in recent years, the after-school, which is like daily registration, so it's a big number, with stuff that could be like participation for a whole season
Right.
in a class.
So it's overstated. So one kid will look like he's represented 200 times.
And, well, but sometimes not, right? Sometimes that one kid, if they sign up for everything at once, it's,
So for after school, they can either do daily or weekly, so.
sometimes it's a daily number and sometimes.
But I think the point of it's just to show that the registrations have increased.
Yeah.
You don't really need
To me,
know.
that's the point.
That's the point.
Yeah.
So I think at a minimum, we'd want to like separate
Take out the after school.
or show it in a different color, like stacked on top.
Yeah, so that's, or
Do that.
or show the ones that are daily, not weekly. The dailies as a separate, I don't know, somehow
Okay.
kind of, because you have drop-in below, and effectively, if they're signing up daily, they're drop-in.
Yeah. But it would do the same thing on the, yeah.
But I mean, as far as like, that's where the confusion I think comes, because they're really drop-ins and they're not,
We could do the separate color stacked on top so that shows them the impact that the after-school made. Because I imagine that 16 was still was still higher than 15,
Right.
even without the after-school.
Yeah, so that would be nice to see that level of
Okay.
detail. And I can help make that if you need help.
I think I can,
It's okay.
Excel is
This is what I do all
pretty
day.
fantastic.
Is there any way to break it out between
Yeah,
like youth and adults?
oh, that's interesting.
I'm sorry, say that again, Adam.
Any way to break it out between youth and adults?
Not easily. I can see if there's a way to do it difficultly.
So you don't think, you can't query the system for that?
You would go through the system, as far as I know, and I would go through the system and the entire list of activities, and I would click which ones are youth and which ones are adult.
Because they're not differentiated in your database.
The only reason I asked, though, that it might be nice to see those, because obviously,
Our adults have been increasing a lot.
Yeah.
adults have increased, seeing the enrollment's decreasing, but also it'd be nice to see, how are we doing youth-wise? The comment was made by the mayor about the Sarasota master plan, Maybe we look at the numbers, though, and say, look, the youth are still a huge part of this, so.
That's a good,
Yeah. The drop-in
I can look into it to see if it's how
Right, we can
doable
still
it
look
is.
at that.
Yeah,
If it doesn't prove our case, then we go back.
Then we go back the other, I like that.
I think the drop-in participants,
Drop-in is
it's
majority
too much
adults.
information. I don't think
Yeah.
it's too confusing. I would like to see
Yeah.
just by year. So basically push all the quarters together and give us 3 years.
Yeah,
That's
even
all
if,
you got.
yeah,
Yeah, I
I
can
would
do,
agree.
I can
I
do
would-
3 fiscal years.
I would agree.
And
It's
we
not-
don't have 3 calendar
we
years. I
have-
could do 3 fiscal years, though.
Perfect. And we've increased our drop-in because now we have volleyball. But generally, we have, a pretty steady group of drop-in activities.
Yeah, things drop in and out, but
And then maybe if there's room, we could work on that other, sussing out information about that other idea of youth and adults.
yeah,
maybe
I'll look
that's
in our
another
system.
chart.
There's a chance that it's easier than I think it is, so I'll look and see
Curious.
see how doable it is.
And if it proves our point.
Yeah, and if we like the way the numbers fall. See, I wouldn't include these charts if our numbers go down, so.
it might also, if you have, if you guys just have some kind of rough sense of what the level of adult participation is, there's something we can do with that.
Just to be nitpicky too, on
Please
some
do.
of the years down here, some of it goes January to March, and other years it's January to February. So March is kind of left off. I'm wondering why that is.
Oh, yeah, that's a typo.
We're gonna
Okay.
get rid of it
Yeah,
anyways.
simplify that one.
Let's see.
It'll be this
Thank
big.
you. January.
Yeah, with a year.
Yeah, it's our quarters, it's our fiscal year quarters, so that's just a typo, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. So just to recap, I'll do for the activity registrations, I'll block the after-school registrations for 16 and 17 in their own, like on top of the others, but in a different color, so you can see those. And then I'll condense the drop-in participants to fiscal years, so you'll have 3 years to look at, and then I'll look into doing youth versus adult for the activity registration. Sound like a plan?
Sounds great.
Okay. Cool, cool. Revenue. Does everybody understand the chart?
Yep.
Chart's very in our favor this year. It's a beautiful chart.
I think it's a good slide. It kind of tells a lot, kind of big picture. about
Yeah,
how
in
program's doing.
a small amount of space and words.
Yeah, I like how it's kind of minimal.
Yeah. Cool. Easy peasy. Discussion items. So I'll get our CIP and an updated one. If you guys are good with that.
That's good.
Mhm.
They're not hugely different, but they're slightly different.
Yeah. It's good to have accurate information.
Yeah, that's good.
So, for maybe before we go into the specific slides on the discussion items, order what's on here, what's not on here. Any thoughts on that?
On the
And,
CIP.
and
No, on the, so these are the 5
Discussion
discussion
items.
items that I've identified. Of course, we won't have time probably to go over 5. So some of them are really just kind of information
Mhm.
at the end.
Which I would move. use
so you
the
do want to make
chaparral
sure
to
you
the bottom.
prioritize the
Yeah, I
order.
think chaparral could either go to the bottom or off, since
I was
that's
just
a-
gonna say, what if we
since
just
that's
took it
a-
off?
I like it at the bottom.
If we get to it, we get to it.
Yeah.
And it's really just, I think it's just a list of stuff we.
Possible opportunities for
Yeah.
that property for the city as a
Okay.
recreational
Well, then, yeah, we can keep it.
asset.
Obviously, it's a
Under
hot item right
CPR?
now and big discussion, and so,
Whether we get to it or not, the information we put in there will be in the packet they get.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, hey, we could,
It's a small
brainstorm on
brainstorm, and
this.
here it
if-
is, yeah.
yeah.
Um,
Okay. Under CPR first aid or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Beautiful, unanimous, love it.
And then the Soul Park partnership needs to be in there, right?
Well, this is where
Oh,
we
no.
go back to our ongoing topics.
It would be right before the discussion items,
Okay.
right?
I
Right
would-
after the
It would pop
revenue?
right in here somewhere, however, this
Right.
could have more hierarchy again. The discussion items could have more hierarchy. Because under CIP, you could put upper Libby restrooms, multi-sport court, Libby Bowl seating, could all go under CIP
We could slot it in, it's just like
as discussion items.
bullet points to talk about.
Yeah.
I mean,
The
I
bike
could
park-
take this graphic table out and actually just put the ones that you guys want to talk about instead of a picture of the, because I mean, they know this, they've seen it.
I think it'd be good to have.
It's good to have it
ours.
there,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, so
Good
you
to-
want bullets under CIP of,
Does that make sense? to
essentially what's on
everybody? Ongoing
page
topics.
11.
And then Sewell Park doesn't really fit there. What was the other, I didn't write them all
Oh,
down.
sorry. Wait.
On the ongoing topics, Sewell Park doesn't really fit under CIP. It
No.
fits somewhere else. But maybe
Could-
Valley-wide District
That's what I-
and Sewell Park
Soul Park, yeah, I could go there.
could go together.
As an on.
Isn't that what we had?
Under discussion items?
Under ongoing topics, we had Sewell Park, right? And the Valley-wide District.
Okay,
Yeah.
so instead of having discussion item Valley-wide district, we move it, it's just an
No,
ongoing.
no, it moves to the discussion page.
So
Under-
she's saying, under CIP, we would have the 4 items originally on here.
The 4 CIP.
The 4 CIP things, and then we just, Valley-wide Parks District, we just say Valley-wide Parks District and Soul Park as our third discussion
Or you
item.
could just put it as like a bullet point under the Valley-wide Parks as like a sub,
You'd have-
like
they-
a 1A, you know?
I think they're different
They are
topics.
They are
though.
different.
I
They
think
could
they
be
are.
together, but they don't need to be together.
I mean, the Valley-wide Parks District, like, we need to do, like, if we're interested in it,
There's a
we
lot of
need,
work to
we
do.
need to do some research and learn. And I think that's about it for, discussion.
So do we want Sewell in there just as a discussion item? Is then the question.
Well, it's gonna be discussed, so I think,
I
I
think
mean, that
Randy
was made
wants it,
clear that he
yeah.
wants to, he's,
Okay,
wants it
he
on
put
did
it
that
this
for a
way.
reason.
I wouldn't put it at the top of the list myself.
No.
Okay.
It should be on the list.
So it's on there as its own individual bullet point under
Yep.
discussion items, but it's somewhere below Valley-wide Parks District and above CPR first aid?
And above chaparral.
Chaparral went to the bottom.
Yeah.
It's the very, very
So
bottom.
we've got, CIP would be one.
With
number-
the bullet
with
points
the
of the.
sub-bullets.
Okay.
Number 2 would be partnership with OUSD.
Mhm.
3 would be Valley-wide Parks District.
Mhm.
4 would be Soul Park. 5 would be CPR First Aid. And 6 would be Chaparral.
I almost, for myself, question
Still
if we
discussing
could
CPR?
swap Valleywide Parks District in partnership with OUSD. What are we trying to accomplish with our partnership with
I think just
OUSD
looking
discussion?
FYI. It'll be a quick little.
Yeah, I thought we'd done that.
Sorry, what was the
We're
question?
trying to highlight what we've done
No,
and the
yeah, that's a good
possibility of
point.
doing more, which I absolutely think we need and should do, but how much meat's there? Whereas the Valleywide Parks District is a much bigger idea that would take council support.
Right. So yeah, this is the discussion section, which is hopefully the bulk of the presentation, is our opportunity
Bring
to
up-
discuss stuff.
Yes.
So yeah, if it is just stuff that we just want to say, we're interested in it, or we've worked on it, it doesn't have to be in the discussion section.
I
We
think
can-
it could be there, but it's certainly not, we don't prioritize it toward the top. I
Right.
would swap Valleywide Parks District with partnership with OUSD. That would make it the second item.
Okay, because there's more to discuss with.
Well, and it actually, all this stuff can come underneath it. It's an umbrella for so much. I just think that's, I would like to prioritize getting that started and looking at that and working with council.
So my question too is with CPR First Aid, since we've already made a recommendation, why is that
I don't know
still
why it's
being
on there.
discussed?
So I put it on there.
Okay.
And I put it on there because we've made a recommendation, but it's unclear that there's been any communication with the city council to understand why we made that recommendation or what the context within our commission was, that we were pretty split on it. So I thought this was a good opportunity to bring it up. And
So it comes toward the bottom, and if we have time, we
Okay.
get to it.
right.
But
If-
either way,
if
they
we
see it in
don't,
the packet.
It's in print.
Love it, okay.
Yeah. And that was the thought. So, I mean, it might be that there's kind of two sections here. One is stuff we really want to talk to the council about.
Right.
Right.
And one is like stuff we want to
Yeah.
flag.
Want them to know
for-
about it.
Information.
We get to it, we get to it.
So right now, it would be CIP first, partnership with Valleywide second, partnership third, Sewell is fourth, CPR is fifth, and Chaparral is sixth. Is that right? Or did I skip
Yeah.
something?
No, that's right. I'm wondering about Chaparral, if we want to bump that up.
No. I just don't.
I do think it belongs above CPR, but I'm not gonna
Oh,
neglect
I don't,
one
I,
position.
and my position is neither of them really belong there, because we don't really know what we're discussing with Chaparral. That is
I think we're just sharing
Yeah.
potentials.
Right.
And that is an absolutely
Okay.
reasonable thing for our commission to say what we might be able to use it for.
Right.
And you're sharing in a format where they can respond if they, and talk about it if they want to.
Yes.
So my request, I think that makes sense. Let's assume that we're not going to get to Chaparral. Let's
Yes.
keep it in here. But at our
Yes.
next meeting, which is the week before, let's make that list really nice so that,
Oh, you don't want to do it tonight?
or tonight, if we're going to do it.
It's on that next page.
But let's kind of flesh that out and
Yeah.
assume
the
that,
Chaparral thing?
yeah.
I thought the point was to make a commission to come up with, or to make a small committee to come up with those. So we're not,
I thought we were just gonna do it here.
Yeah, I think we just want to kind of,
A lot of things have already been put out there, and I know I've heard lots of stuff, and I believe that you guys probably have too,
Right.
so.
I mean, we can certainly later on put together a committee, but I think for this presentation.
It's on future agenda items.
We at least want to give the council a list of
Potential,
ideas.
yeah.
I just don't see the point, to be honest.
I wrote
This
mine
is-
down already.
Well, didn't they ask for it?
Some
They did?
city council members have
Okay.
talked about that, yes.
Maybe not officially.
I don't know that it was at a council meeting, I don't remember.
My point is, I just see it as about a 1% chance that's ever gonna come to fruition, and it's just a complete waste of
For
time.
those of us who want to make a list, do you have a problem with that?
Just from a time standpoint, that's all.
Okay, well, I have a list.
You can just email me a list and I
No,
can
no,
put
I have
in
it right
the
here right
slides.
now.
You have it right here right now? Sage has a list. I'm ready for it.
Okay, so we've got the order down. CIP, Valleywide Parks District, partnership with OUSD, Soul Park, CPR, Chaparral.
Okay. And then the next one is the use of chaparral in our packet.
It is.
Oh, right, in the slide, so.
Slides.
whoop. Should we just crank out that list?
So,
Sage?
sorry, just to make sure, for the CIP slide, so you want me to put the bullets in like this slide where the discussion items are listed, you want me to put those 4 bullets? In CIP, you want me to just leave it with the table on like the slide for CIP discussion? Just to clarify.
Yeah.
Oh, I hear what you're saying, that you don't need it on that first page, that just keep it until it comes up?
Well, yeah, what do you want? It's up to you. I can either put the bullets on the discussion item, the slide with all the discussion items, or I can put them on the slide, or both, or neither.
I think it's sufficient to just have it on the CIP slide.
Yeah, I think it should be on that one, on
Okay.
page 23.
Okay. So those 4 topics in bullets on page
Okay,
23.
do we want to dump the funding sources and put both CIPs on one page? Referencing them with their own names that are unique so that everyone's clear on what we're talking about, the city CIP, the Ojai City CIP, and the Parks and Recreation Commission CIP,
That's
next to each other.
Probably more
Because I don't think
informative.
we're doing the depth discussion here of where the funding's coming from. I think
No.
we're just doing the big overview.
Okay.
And then the list of projects that are coming up from the,
Yeah.
whatever that's titled.
And just to be clear, what are we trying to accomplish by discussing this?
I think we just need them to know what's on the radar that we're trying to push forward. For me, it's the sport courts. Is, I think, what our commission has made our top priority in our meetings of trying to get done in the near future.
Yeah, the same for me, just communicating our priorities.
Okay.
Okay. Chaparral site. Do you guys just want to throw
Go
out
to
a
the back,
list?
but yeah.
Joint council chambers for school district and city, community meeting rooms, bike park, and pool.
Okay.
That's my list.
Joint council. One more time.
Oh, sorry. Joint council chambers for school district and city, so we have one place for everyone and it works well. Community meeting rooms, bike park, and pool are all recreational related facilities that we could use to have and that could house.
You, I wrote down your list that you emailed me. So there's a couple
Oh,
others.
you could, oh yeah, go, okay.
So you'd mentioned classrooms for all types
Additional
of classes.
classrooms for recreation classes.
After-school programs. And I think you got everything else. Is there anything anyone would want to add to that list?
No, I had bike park and pool.
There you go. You can move those to the top. Probably, yeah, change the
Just
order.
personal preference.
Now that there's a new
That's
water
fine.
source.
I know.
Maybe a spring pool.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's going to be the last item in this section, and then partnership with OUSD.
You guys have
Adult
anything to
ed
add?
classes, I mean, I'd like to put art on there as a possibility that we're pursuing. And then the other piece that I think is a partnership with the district is, they get certain monies for their career and I'm not gonna get it right, basically their career tech classes, and they have graphic design, they have like video production, they have quite a few things. They sometimes run adult ed classes, but they have no mechanism for broadcasting that to the community. So I'd like to see us offer up as a partnership to promote their adult ed courses. Because they have ways to get special funding for some of those adult ed courses. So I think we could offer them the ability to help publicize their adult ed, as well as, and like, you know, trying to create maybe an art class with the art teachers similar to the pottery.
So promotion of
Just
OUSD's adult
OUSD,
ed.
adult ed. Partnering and promoting, yeah, I don't.
Okay.
So there's the first bullet, adult ed classes would be that stuff that
Adult
the
art
city
classes.
would provide, and then there's also promoting what the school district
Right, we could,
does.
I'll find
as
a way to
specific, I think
differentiate
that we'd like to try and offer an art class like the pottery
Yeah.
class to the adults in the community.
Mhm.
And then offer up to promote their adult education that they're already going to be doing.
Makes sense.
Okay,
So should those two bullets
I'll find a way to
be
differentiate them.
What do you mean?
next to each other?
Which one?
So we have, right, the first bullet is adult ed, right? And then the fourth bullet is OUSD adult ed. I'd maybe make them
I
one
think
and
it could be
two.
the same adult, I think it could be the same bullet.
Or make them part of the same
Because it's all
bullet.
about adult ed.
Right,
It's just who's providing
Okay.
it.
got it.
But if it's confusing, then pull it apart.
No, that makes sense. So adult ed, sub-bullet, first sub-bullet would be City of Ojai or Rec Department.
City programs.
Or increase,
Rec offerings or.
yeah, city rec, city offerings for adult ed, increase
Mhm.
offerings, and then you could put, as next to that art, because we could pursue that one and we know it's a possibility.
Right. And then second sub-bullet would be promote OUSD adult ed courses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Okay.
Was there any more details on team programs? I seem to remember something, but we'll ask Maya next time.
So you mean with, as it relates to OUSD?
Yeah. Because it's come up, like college planning, different kinds of things.
Yeah, so we
as a
talked
team.
about
Are there ways that,
utilizing their space, like, use it
to
like.
provide additional resources?
Yeah, I had talked about like using their computer lab for our resume workshop, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just partnering with them to make those programs successful.
What are we discussing with the Nordhoff pool use? Just that we partnered this summer?
Can we do it?
Yeah, and it's been talked about a potential of doing that even more. I mean.
Expanding it next year.
Expanding it next year. OUSD has talked about upgrading their pool, in which case maybe we can do lessons there. And then there's even been potential talk of doing stuff even during the school year. Like if they have, certain afternoons where they don't have programming going on, allowing us to run some kind of classes there. So that's all very hypothetical, but it has been, Sophocles and I talked to Andy Cantwell about it a while back.
Possible future programming
Yeah,
and expansion of the summer program?
yeah, potentials.
Okay.
Valleywide Parks District. Did you guys want to add anything to that slide?
On the wording, I'd get rid of the potential project to say commission is interested in researching this.
And aren't we we're interested in forming a committee to research this, right? Or have we formed a committee already? I don't think we have.
No, we haven't.
No, okay.
We haven't, but we probably should, and,
We could do that next month.
I mean, frankly, Mayor Johnston will probably be a huge resource on this,
Mhm.
so, considering his past, so. We should specifically reach out to him in the meeting.
Mhm.
Because if we form the committee before we get there, that's great. And then we could ask for council participation.
Yep.
Is there anyone interested in participating in the process?
Yeah.
And that would really get it rolling
Is
and
there
be an
anyone-
action versus just.
Is there anybody interested in participating?
Mhm.
Mayor Johnston?
Anybody.
Well, and if you phrase the sentence right, I mean, the commission has
I mean, I can
already
say
a committee in the
Right,
works
formed
and
a
is
committee.
seeking,
That's what I
and is
wanna do.
seeking council.
Yeah, it's
Participation.
exploring,
Right,
or-
yeah.
Yeah.
That's, instead of potentially we might and all of this, let's form it
And then
next
in
month.
parentheses, put
And
Mayor
then-
Johnson.
Yeah, Mayor Johnston. Okay.
Okay, so.
And then if we
So
wanted to
com-
do,
com-
yeah, go ahead.
Commission has formed a committee and is seeking council's support,
Council
involvement.
Participation.
As a second bullet,
/ mayoral.
council representation on the committee. It's just like not even a full sentence, I think, just a bullet point.
Yeah.
So that goes on our future agenda item for this next meeting.
Right.
Okay. And CPR first aid. There you go.
Yeah, I don't know if we need to say anymore. I just kind of wanted to flag
No,
this.
it's
to
there.
council.
It's in print.
I can put the Red Cross symbol on there if you want to make it pretty.
Okay, so then,
There's some things we didn't have a slide for, which is.
Oh, that's right,
hard.
yeah.
So we create a slide for Soul.
Yeah, so the ones you're creating, so sold,
Soul
do you want
purchase.
anything specific written on there? List, I could take Randy's list of ideas.
No, I think it should be that we form a committee next month, like we were talking about agendizing, same thing, and then ask for council. It's similar to the district-wide, but we're also looking for council participation.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're at the beginning, we're not presenting information to them, we're telling them we're starting to do this, and we're looking for them to help participate.
right.
Cool. We can do that. That's it.
Anything else on the slides? Any slides anyone wants to go back to?
Did we have anything this year that we did where we had donations of services or
The,
materials that should be noted? Like, I know Libby was big and we've done that. Is there any other projects we've done this year
just the
that we need
picnic
to?
areas. That
What
I
happened
know.
on the picnic areas?
Well, just the funds from.
Oh, CDBG. Okay, I was thinking more like community members. We're already highlighting with the skate
Or
park.
somebody put a lot of volunteer hours in,
Yeah,
or to
I mean, I
recognize
just want to
them.
make sure that anything that's happened like that, that we're going to make sure we recognize it.
I don't think anything out of the norm. Like the only thing I can think of for like volunteers is like Ojai Day, coaches, that
Well, I
kind
don't
of
even
thing.
really
But
mean
I don't think
volunteers.
anything.
I mean like did the tennis tournament put in the tennis association? What's the name of that committee? Basically, did they do a lot of work this year at Libby? I just want to make sure.
Ojai Valley Tennis Club.
Yes, I want to make sure that we recognize any organization that's done something like that. We've already got the skate park because they donated the whole light project to the city.
Yeah.
So if I don't know, it might be good to talk to Greg Grant.
Okay.
I just wouldn't want to miss any. I mean, it's so good to highlight when we have great community partnerships and people participate. I don't want to miss an opportunity to highlight that.
We'll bring it up to Soph and Greg and see if either of them.
If anything comes to mind. Things blend together in my mind. That's why I'm not
Yeah.
bringing anything specific up because it probably wasn't this year.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Allison.
Of
And then,
course.
Great.
as far as presenting, I am happy to run everything. If there are parts of this that somebody would like to do, we should have Commissioner Gilbert do the youth committee. But are there parts of this that anyone here would like to do?
I think since we only have a limited amount of time, getting people up and down and switching it off is probably not optimum, except for the case of Commissioner Gilbert with the team program. I think that's a must.
And it's nice. We actually sit the whole time in a big rectangle.
Mm-hmm.
And all look at each other, so that part's good.
Yeah. Are you comfortable doing the whole thing?
Absolutely.
Okay,
I
there we
think,
go. That was a big
yeah.
question. That was the question.
I think you probably all know I won't do most of the talking, but I will definitely do all of the presenting.
Perfect.
Yeah, thank you.
That's
Okay.
very good.
That was good. So then we've got our staff report updates.
Yes. So yeah, Maya stole my thunder. Teen programs.
Good.
So yeah, that was great, and we're looking to move it forward. It's just about figuring out spacing and ping pong tables. We own 2, but they seem to like having more tables, so working on that.
Question.
Yeah.
In that same vein, well, actually, not in that same vein. What about an adult tennis tournament?
Adult
Or
ping
table
pong?
tennis tournament?
We used to have it. We used to have drop-in ping pong. I think it was like Thursday nights, and it was like any of our other drop-in programs, and it just died out. We got to the point where we only had 2 people coming every week, and it was the same 2 people every week, and then it was one. Can't play table tennis with one. And no, I mean, it would run into the same issue as the youth with limited space.
Yeah.
And I would guess from this commission, you would recommend prioritizing youth, but
Oh,
if we were able to get another table and able to find a way that makes it
Okay.
made it work, maybe we could add the adult on there as well. Yeah, it's a good thought. Oh yes, theater partnership. So I don't remember if Soph mentioned that at our last meeting. I don't think it had happened yet.
I was gonna say, I don't think it happened yet.
Yeah. So if you guys look at your activity guides, which are new by the way, let's see what page were they on. Page 17. So they're offering 17 different classes, some starting as early as I think next week or the week after. A whole range of different things, from Shakespeare to singing musical classes, acting 101, world theater, all different kinds of really interesting programs. They do have a following of participants, a base of participants that they'll be bringing in, which is very
Because they're
exciting.
not new.
Yeah, exactly. They're an established
They're coming into the
program.
fold.
Yeah, that they're coming in and utilizing our resources and our space. So we're really excited to have them in there. So some of them have kind of interesting times that jump around because we have a lot of programming to fit them around. But Softways was able to come to a partnership with them to offer them. So we're really excited about that. And And then movie nights. So our next one coming up is September 15th, which is The Baby Boss. Our last one was a little bit low with 23, but things are always unpredictable in the summer. You never know what's going to happen. So we anticipate this next one being back up to our normal numbers. Sarasota Master Plan. I don't know anything other than what's written. Tentatively.
Randy mentioned the 27th.
He did, so that was interesting to me. So I'll follow up and see if I can confirm that.
Can we be sure to get everyone a reminder email on that? On the
Yes, yeah. And actually, you know what, Sophocles isn't even back yet on the 19th, so let's hope it's the 27th. Yeah, so I'll confirm that date and get that sent out to you.
That's a
you.
Monday night?
Tuesday.
Tuesday night?
Yeah, it's a Tuesday. That date is a Tuesday, but the 27th, I don't believe, is a
I
Tuesday.
know, that's what I don't have.
That's why I was confused.
That's
So-
going to be a Wednesday.
Yeah.
27th is a Wednesday.
Yeah.
So, you
So
must-
I will confirm the date and get that out to all of you guys.
the 26th.
Let's see. So classes, camps, events. So obviously camps are over. We finished strong, had some fantastic camps this summer. We have a lot of stuff starting up. We had a few things this week, but next week and the week after, like the bulk of our classes are starting up. All of our tennis are starting new sessions. Scott is fully incorporated in and teaching all of our programs. We've had great feedback from him so far. You guys met him,
Yeah.
correct? Yeah. So he's fantastic. We're really excited to have him in. Pottery starts next week. Photography, gardening, cooking, dog tricks, ballet, horsemanship. If you name a class that we offer, chances are it's starting in the next 2 weeks. So it's a really good time for people to get involved and to dive in. We generally do it, 2 to 3 weeks after school starts to give people that transition time. So we're excited for all of those to get going. So fall activity guide did go out, is a little later than expected, but it did go out in the mail yesterday and today, so you guys should have all received it. Otherwise, it's sitting in your mailbox at home waiting for you. I think I mentioned earlier, we did the ordering a little bit different so that we wouldn't have as much overflow. So we're just getting them in our office now because we're taking the leftover from the post office. So the post office, they give us an estimate as to how many of the houses they have for each route, and then whatever leftover they have, we pick up from them, and that's what we have in our office. So we have those there now. Other information, so as I mentioned, the courtyard shade is up. After school program is back off and running. It's very similar to last year. We did raise the fee to $12, just recouping some of the unexpected costs that we had last year, as well as we are now paying rent to the school district to compensate for some of their direct costs. They have some direct costs of staffing that our program is causing, so we're essentially just paying them for that monthly rental fee. But that after school program is great. Actually, Miners Oaks has increased. They were having between 20, 25 kids last year. They started right out the gate with like 30 plus. So that's been really cool to see that jump over there. Topa's pretty steady with what we were at last year. And they're running really well. I'm pretty sure we're at a 100% CPR first aid certification at both sites, so that's exciting. So it's been really good over there. Much different from last year where we were trying to figure everything out. We were able to really hit the ground running with the after school program this year, which has been great. Flag football is starting up. Numbers have been low. As we've talked about before, things shift for youth sports in the Valley constantly. It's kind of been a struggle the past few years with youth flag football, mainly because a lot of kids are moving to tackle. Eagle program has been growing a lot. And then we're also seeing a big increase in soccer in the Valley. Soccer is huge right now. There's a ton of club teams that play year-round. So a lot of kids that before would have, played ASO and played flag football are now playing club, which has too big of a time commitment to do both. So that's at least my guess as to why our numbers are down. So essentially we're switching things up and we're doing a clinic this year, which is what we did with the younger kids last year. I don't know if you guys remember. But essentially it'll be two age divisions, and each one will be one big group instead of splitting into teams for the season. It'll be one big group. They'll meet once a week for practices and building skills and running drills and such. And then every Saturday we'll have scrimmages where we take that big group and we split them up into teams that'll differ every week. So they get to play with different kids, they get to try out different positions. So it'll be more of a building your skills, learning the game, having fun with it, as opposed to just having like two teams in a division, and which gets a little bit dicey. So but we're excited about that. So we did extend the registration deadline. It was supposed to be tomorrow the 9th to try and push and get some more kids in. We've extended that to the 22nd. So anybody out there that wants to register for flag football, it's not too late. We're taking registration. Then I think the last thing I have is our Facebook page. We have our office staff, now that summer is over, our 2 part-time office staff have a little bit more time on their hands, and they've been starting to get back into some fun Facebook posts. So Megan just posted a very fun one today. She's a very good creative writer, so she kind of brought this fun writing instinct into talking about all the programs that we have starting next week. So you guys should check it out on our Facebook page. And I think that's it. Do you guys have any questions?
Great. Commissioner reports. I've got one on the bike park. What papers here? Oh, thank you. All right. So John Lamar could not be here today, but he wanted to give an update on what's going on with the bike park, and so he sent me a nice email. I printed out copies for everyone, and then
thank you.
I'll give you a verbal summary so our listeners at home can know what we're talking about. So John Lamar and Toby Joe Green from the Ojai Valley Bicycle Coalition have been doing the research and legwork on the bike park. At this point, they're convinced that the best location for the bike park would be next to the skate park on the school district property. And so they're pursuing that option. So this had been proposed in the past and wasn't approved by the previous OUSD superintendent. So John Lamar has met with, the current superintendent, as well as council members Wyrick, Francina. He's met with Steve McCleary toward the facilities. So he's doing a fair amount of work, and his discussion with Superintendent Cantwell expressed interest and discussed with John the challenges that the school district faces. And John's conclusion from this was that it's a possibility, but it would, if it happened, it would take a while to do. And his vision would be kind of a bike park, and then kind of a picnic area and the skate park. So that makes sense. In the meantime, though, of course, they are pursuing the Lower Libby location. So they're doing the research and planning work that would be needed for that. So last time he was here, he was talking about the survey that they were working on. So they've completed the parking lot survey, which they've submitted to Mr. McCleary. And if that is approved, then they'll move on to the tree inventory and tree study. And their kind of goal in doing all this work is to get things to a point where if OUSD is not an option, then they're ready to move forward on Lower Libby. So that's what they're working towards. And in the meantime, they're also interested in a temporary bike park location. So I don't think there's much detail on that, but just something, if any of this is going to take a while to come to fruition, then they're thinking maybe they can just set up something pretty simple somewhere for people to use. Any questions or comments that you want me to relay back to Mr. Lamar?
So if I understood all that correctly, it just kind of sounds like it's treading water.
I think, the Lower Libby, they're making progress, kind of checking the boxes so that eventually they can get to a point that if that's where it's going to be and the city council approves it, then they'd be ready to do that. And in the meantime, they are pursuing the school district again.
Yeah.
Good, it's a good update,
Okay.
helpful information. And report from the Libby Bowl committee. In the brochure, you might have noticed that there's a list of the upcoming shows, because one of the things is continuing to help the community understand where to find information and what's upcoming, so that was something that came out of the committee and Amber put together, I think, and that's helpful. And continuing to look at management structures and trying to prioritize certain things, and still just keeping up with going to the shows and recording what's happening and looking at use and users, and still working.
Question on that.
Mhm.
Is there a way we could promote, and maybe that's not the right word, direct people to park in that lower parking lot? Because I don't think anybody, if you're
Oh,
not
if the-
from here,
But
you
there
don't
are-
know it's
But there
there.
are people parking there.
Oh, I don't doubt that.
Yeah,
But
'cause
if you're not from
I
here.
drive around during the shows and look at all the parking.
No, no, no. My point is,
Yeah.
if you're not from here, you don't know it's there.
It's possible, I guess.
How would you? There's no sign, there's no.
What we don't have is, some cities have a map of parking,
Mm-hmm.
like a parking map. We don't have that.
Well,
But I
I'm
don't see
even-
why we couldn't do that, because there's also the little teeny lot across from Libby. That's a city parking lot.
Yeah.
That little rectangle
The
of parking
Wesleyan
there.
Church
Yeah.
property.
So I think what might be useful is a parking map for other events
Or,
too.
or even some kind of a, I don't know if a sawhorse is the right, word, something that just says parking 1 block and an arrow that points right.
The-
Because there's no way anybody knows that's there.
No, I agree.
And I.
The bitty parking sign pointing down
There is a parking
Montgomery.
sign,
Yeah, it's very small. And my other thing to look at would be, why not possibly charge for parking in that lot? As a way of creating, it's a huge moneymaker when, if you go up to Santa Barbara, it's $25 to park a car in the high school parking lot across
The
the
only
way.
issue that we have that's very, very different than the bowl is that is a public park, night and day,
Mm-hmm.
every day of the year. And so the parking is public parking. So it would take a whole nother rethinking on it. I mean, it's an idea, and I will present it to the committee.
Yeah.
But it is an idea that, that whole overlay of it's a public park first,
Right.
and it's a Libby Bowl second, for me is,
I'm just proposing a way to generate income. That's all for, I don't know where that income would go, but almost every other music venue that I've ever been to is you get nailed for parking anywhere close.
yes, but very few of them are in a public park.
Again, don't know the answer to that.
Westridge
It might be
should
something
charge
worth
for
looking at.
parking.
Yeah, Western should go on that, yes.
They have a
And
whole wing of that
generally,
lot
having
that doesn't
driven
get
around
touched.
And looked at a lot of the concerts when they've been on, parking has not been an issue. Many of the ones I've gone to, I literally have been able to park right outside on Signal, or in that little lot across from Signal. Though the other night, the Otmar Liebert concert, that I went around just and drove, and the lower lot had a lot of cars in it. I was surprised. The front part of that lot, not the back part. There was nobody in the back part, but it was pretty full. It was interesting.
Yeah, part of me says, if we could promote that lot, you're gonna free up parking for merchants, you're gonna free up parking in those spaces that they're probably not happy about not having parking anywhere near their business on the nights that there were those concerts. I don't know if that's true, it's just a
Yeah, I haven't heard that.
thought
but-
on my part.
Yeah, okay. I will take that back.
Have you all discussed the lawn?
Yes,
Committee?
it's come up there.
Okay, so everyone's on board with
Yes, very much in
this
favor
design?
of that,
Great.
yes. I think we didn't see exactly this iteration, but very similar. Because there've been a couple of iterations between what's conceptually what's come here and what is in front of me. I think we've had there've been some different concepts, but this is, the slight differences in maybe where the stairs were is the difference, but it's very similar.
Great. Thanks. Anyone else? Commissioner, committee reports?
No, I'm good.
Okay. No city council liaison. Okay, so future meeting dates and agenda items. Our next meeting is October 5th.
I will be gone for that one. I'm out of the state.
Okay,
I will be here for the joint meeting, though.
okay. Thanks. So for that meeting, we want to form a few committees, it sounds like. One for the Libby Bowl lawn, one for Parks District, and one for Soul Park.
Were we still, it says above that we're planning to form one to work on partnerships between OUSD and Parks and Recreation. That still seems useful.
Yeah.
Uh,
So 4 committees.
4 committees. From no committees to 4 committees.
Damn, we're back in it.
In it to win it.
So we got Libby Lawn, Parks District, Soul Park, and OUSD partnership. Okay.
And then we'll, I guess, we'll revisit the PowerPoint.
Mhm.
And we should tentatively have the master plan on there, waiting to see what happens. Because if it doesn't make it, it should
Right.
definitely be an agenda item.
Yeah.
We have
So
a bottle
master
of champagne in
plan,
that one, just in case that passes.
Just in case, yeah.
master plan next steps.
Yeah, exactly. Either way, it's on there. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. Okay, anything else for October that you want to put on the agenda?
I think that's good. I think.
I would do it.
Okay, good. And then future beyond October? Anything on the radar? Want to keep on the radar? Okay,
No, no, yet.
well, we can talk about it in October.
I'm sure it'll come up in
Probably
October.
those again.
So we've got our meeting on October 5th, and then the joint meeting is on, what's the date? October 10th, the following week.
Tuesday the 10th.
And Allison is going to send us a note about when the discussion about the master plan is happening with city council. So meeting adjourned.
Good job.
Excellent job.
Thank you.
Concise, smooth. Bam. There you go. Hey, that's about right.